Hi there, this is part 2 of a 3-part series we're doing on creating an appointment confirmation app using Google AppSheet. In the first part, we looked at how to set up the initial app and add a calendar so that you can set your appointments. In this part, we're going to look at how to create an automation so that you can automatically send reminders to your customers 24 hours before their appointment. And in the last part, we're going to look at how to use a Google form to let them confirm their appointment, which will then update your AppSheet app. We're once again going to follow the steps that I've outlined for all 3 parts in a Google Sheet, and I've included a link to that sheet down in the comments. All right, so we're going to pick up right here under part 2, and the first thing we need to do is set the initial value for the status to confirmed. This is something that I meant to do in the first video, but I forgot to do it, and it's very important as far as the whole thing actually working in the end here. So in order to do that, I'm going to copy the unconfirmed value. I'm going to go into my AppSheet app and I'm going to edit the status column and set the initial value. Now, you can set the initial value in the main data view here. There's a column here to do it. I prefer to do it in the actual column details instead of here, mainly because it's hard to keep track when you scroll over here of what row you're actually editing. But if you just go in, you can click this edit pencil next to status and you can scroll down and it's actually under auto compute. You see it says initial value there. So I can just paste that in right here and that's done. So now again, if I scroll over here, you'll see that it's set there as well. So just a little easier to do it there, I think, in order to keep track to make sure that you're updating the right row. All right, the next thing that we're gonna wanna do is create a new automation. And it's going to be called Send Reminders. So back in AppSheet, I'm going to go to Automations, which is underneath the robot icon here. I'm going to say create an automation and create a new bot. And then I want to rename that value that I just copied. So I can rename right here. And I'm going to call it Send Reminders. Okay, and then back to our steps again. We're going to add a new event and we're going to call that event Run Hourly. So I'm going to say configure event and I'm going to say create new event and I'm going to call that run hourly. And then in our steps, we're going to make the event source scheduled. So that is right here. I'm going to select scheduled and I'm going to make it scheduled to run hourly. So I can select that right here. And then I'm going to say for each row in the appointments table with this row filter row condition. So basically what this is saying is that we want things where the status is unconfirmed and the time is the date and time of the appointment is less than 24 hours from now. So that's basically what that's saying. Again, those 2 conditions, less than 24 hours from now and the status is unconfirmed. So let's copy that and go over to the event again, the automation again. And we're going to say for each row in this table, and we're going to say the table is appointments and the filter condition is that expression that we just talked about. So you see that checks out, we can hit save and that step is done. I'll go ahead and save our progress here. All right, next thing we want to do is add a step called add email. So I'm going to go back here. These warnings are basically just because this whole automation isn't complete yet, so it's telling me that, but we will complete it as we go here. So I'm going to say add step. I'm going to create a new step, and I'm going to give it that name that we just talked about, send email. And then what we're going to want to do is run a task, which is already selected right here. And the task is send an email, which is default. So we're good to go there. And we want to send it to the email address. And this is the email address of the appointment that we're dealing with at this particular point. So when this runs, it's going to run it for each specific record where that expression is true, that the status is unconfirmed and the date is less than 24 hours ago. And it's going to use the email from that particular record to send it to. So I want to, underneath the 2 here, I want to hit add. And I'm going to use an expression just to select the particular data from our record. So to do that, I want the email is what I want. So I'm just going to say insert, and it's just going to put in the actual expression for that email value, and I'm going to hit OK. So that is good. And then we want to make the subject reminder of your appointment tomorrow. So I can do that by clicking here and just pasting this value. And we want the email body to be this. So this is saying hi, first name, and again, similar to the email, it's going to insert the first name of the record that we're actually processing at that particular point. And then it's going to say this is your reminder that you have an appointment with us tomorrow with the date, again, specific date from the record and the time from the record. And then it says, please click this link to confirm. We're going to, in the next part, when we're actually adding the Google form, we're going to add the link here. But for now, we're just going to use that placeholder value. So let's copy this and we'll go over to the email body part. I'm just going to delete the default value and paste in what I have there and click save. So that part is done. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to add another step below that first step for sending the email. And this one's going to be called update status. So down here, I just click this button to add another step, hit create new step. I'm going to call it update status. And we have, in this case, we want to run a data action. So that is in this menu right here where it defaults to run a task. We want to say run a data action. And we want the data action to be set row values. So that is selected by the default up there. And we want to set the status to confirmation sent. So I'm going to select from the columns here status, and I'm going to set this to confirmation sent, and that is okay. All right, one thing to call out here is we are again processing rows up here where the date is less than 24 hours ago and the status is unconfirmed. And then right here in this last step, we're setting the status to confirmation sent. So that's basically what's going to prevent the confirmation from being sent multiple times. Once the first time it's going to run because the status is unconfirmed, but then once it actually sends the email, it's setting the status to confirmation sent. So the next hour when this scheduled job runs again, it's not going to pick it up in that condition because the status is no longer unconfirmed. So that's how we're handling that there to prevent it from being sent multiple times. Okay, the last thing that we need to do in this part is publish the app. And the reason that, well, first we need to save. So we should see that that error message up at the top went away. And then the reason that we need to deploy is because of this warning that we have right here. So the schedule event run hourly will only trigger when the app is in deployed state. So in order to be able to test that this is working, we need to deploy the app. That's one reason. And the other reason the app needs to be deployed is because right here, we're sending the email to the email address of the person who the appointment is for. When the app is not yet deployed, it will only send emails to the owner of the application. So regardless of what you put in there as far as an email address, it's going to send it to you if you're the owner of the application. So if we want to test that it actually works sending it to an email address, that's another reason that we need to have it deployed. But it's super easy to deploy it. You just go up to this little rocket ship icon in the upper left-hand corner. You're going to say move the app to a deployed state. It will go ahead and do that. And you see now it shows a little bit of a green check mark next to the rocket up there, and the app is deployed. All right, that's all the setup for part 2. So if you go test this out, you should see that it's sending out reminder emails 24 hours before the date and time of your appointments. In part 3, we're going to look at how to set up that Google form so that your users or customers can actually confirm their appointments, and then it'll update their information for those appointments within AppSheet.